This video covers Chapter 2 and Section 2.1, Graphical Summaries for Qualitative Data. Now that we've learned how and how not to collect data, we are going to look at ways to illustrate our data graphically, because it's always good to display what we have as a picture that is easily understood. So we'll look at several different graphs today, some of which you may have seen, some of which maybe not. But anyway, let's look at example 1. We've got all this data from 20 SU students, and that's very nice, but it's not easily understandable, right? What can we make of this? So before we even turn it into a graph, let's first make it into a chart, not yet a graph. And in particular, we're going to create a frequency distribution. Now, you might see this called a frequency table, a frequency chart, but calls it a frequency distribution, so will I. Anyway, it's just going to be a pretty basic chart. You may have seen something like this already. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that should be good. All right. And so we've got the reason. I guess I'll even just call this the category, but you could be a little more specific and call it the reason for going to the library. Over here, we're going to have the tally, and over here, we're going to have the frequency. So let's see. The categories are study, meet someone, or check out books, right? And so the tally, if you just look at this, the tally for studying is 8, the tally for meeting someone is 5, the tally for checking out books is 7, and then we just write the number here, right? One thing to take a quick look at is 8 plus 5 plus 7 equals 20, which is good because there were 20 SU students, okay? Great. So that's our frequency distribution, or frequency table, or frequency chart, right? So let's just be a little clear about what we just did. A frequency distribution, or table, or chart, whatever they call it, is I guess it's a table, with category in the leftmost column, tally, middle, frequency, right. Okay, that's how it always looks, right? Also, at least as important, a relative frequency distribution is the same as a frequency distribution, except the columns are category, frequency, skip over the tally, and relative frequency. Okay. So if we now draw a relative frequency distribution, well, it's basically the same thing, just look a little different looking. So the category will stay the same, right? The tally will become, let me actually make this in a different colors to make it pop. Maybe make it brown. Make this frequency, and then make this relative frequency. Right, and so let's erase all this, this. And so we're just going to have this, this, and this. And here, we're just going to have, right, just divide by the number of individuals you have, right? Yes, it would be wonderful if you could reduce your fractions, if it's easy. Okay, I think that's easy, right? So I think these both look pretty similar to each other, right? Frequency and relative frequency. The only difference is relative frequency is measuring the proportion instead of just the tally of individuals. All right, next we're going to look at bar graphs. I'm sure you've heard that term before, which are graphical representations of frequency distributions, possibly relative frequency distributions. Okay. And I just want to emphasize that this is for qualitative data. Qualitative data. Histograms for quantitative, bar for qualitative. Histograms for quantitative, bars for qualitative. We're doing a bar graph, so it's qualitative. Got that? Awesome. So we can draw a bar graph for the above data. It wouldn't be that bad. But I think this is a good chance to log into Minitab and see how stuff works there. So click on your Minitab Online button. Now, the first time you do this, first of all, make sure your pop-up blocker is disabled. You'll probably need to enter your email address, maybe an SU password. You may need to click that you agree to some user agreement. But then you should be able to go here. Get rid of that navigator on the left side. Just get rid of that, okay? And let's see what we've got. You should just be able to type in the cell here. We're going to type in category, and we'll put in the 3 categories. Sometimes I'm not that bad at typing. Sometimes Minitab just gets a little fussy with entering things. Okay. Anyway, we're going to then put in our frequencies and our right. So the frequency is just 8. Yeah, see, I had to type each of those numbers in twice. I don't know why. But anyway, the relative, now don't write 2/5, right? That will it'll think that you're putting in February 5th, like the date. So instead, for relative frequency, 8 divided by 20, that's 0.4, right? Or 2/5 is 0.4. So we'll do that. The other one, 1/4, is 0.25. And then the last one is 7/20, which is, I guess, 0.35. Right? So those are relative frequencies. So let's see if we can get a bar graph from this. So we're going to go to graph. And maybe it helps to like sort of scroll it up a little bit. But then bar chart. And we're going to do summarize data in a table. Right? And we're just doing simple stuff here. So for the y variable, if it's a relative, what did I ask for? A frequency or relative frequency? I don't even remember. Sorry, a bar graph for the above data. Let's do a frequency. Let's just do frequency, right? So that's going to be your y variable. If you want to do it for relative frequency, we can do it for that. And the categorical variable, right? Category, select that. I think our options should be fine. Let's see what we get. And le voila. We have our bar graph. I call it chart of frequency. Lovely. What a lovely original name. How thoughtful of them. Anyway, we are going to crop this out. Maybe I'll put this here just so you saw the data we entered. And I want to like edit out that title. It's so lame. Whatever. This, we're going to copy and delete this, and we'll just stick it in our notes. Right? And of course, you don't need that bottom data. I just wanted to emphasize, this is how we got it. Okay? And I just want to point out, if we decided to do a relative frequency chart, maybe that's what you decided to do, well, same thing. Graph, bar chart, summarize data in a table. Same thing as before, except this time we'll choose relative frequency. And let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. It's the same exact thing. There's only one difference, and that is the y-axis. Did I not get that picture? There we go. And once again, let's crop this out accordingly. There we go. And we will once again copy and delete, because whatever. And I just want to post these side by side, just to show you that these graphs are completely analogous, right? The only difference is, and I'll highlight this, the y-axis. All right, that's the only difference between these graphs. Their shapes are exactly the same, which makes sense because the bars are proportional. Anyway, let's move on. Note the following attributes of a bar graph. The x-axis is categorical, which is to say qualitative. The y-axis is quantitative, always, and measures frequency or relative frequency. Right? One or the other. Notice the bars have the same width and do not touch. That's a cosmetic thing, but it's important. And then last is that the bars are proportionally sized to the values they represent. And what I mean by that is that, you know, this bar is 5 and this bar is 8, so this bar here is 5/8 the size of this bar. That's what I mean. You want your graph to be accurate. Right? Now, let's look at sort of a variant of the sort of a special kind of bar graph. A Pareto chart is a bar graph whose categories are ordered from highest to lowest frequencies. All right, so how are they useful? Well, they're useful because sometimes the most frequent category is the most important. Right? Sometimes people want to know what is the most frequent. And so that's what you want to display first. All right. So let's see if we can draw a Pareto chart. Now, I guess we're already sort of halfway there. And of course we could just delete the rows, and we'll do that if we have to, but I feel like there's a way that maybe we could do this. Let's see if it lets us graph options. Let's see. No. Let's see. Oh, ordering. Here we go. By decreasing y. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Done. Beautiful. We should call it a Pareto chart of relative frequency. Anyway, look at us. It's so nice when the computer does everything for us, and look at us. We're going to be special and right. Pareto chart. Okay. There you go. There's also a horizontal bar graph, which is nice when the category, I don't know, labels are too long, I guess. Oh, actually, no, sorry. I think I meant to say it could go either way, I guess. Maybe I'll just say the frequencies. I think this is what I was going for. Are too tall, maybe? Like, I don't even know. Just sometimes the space of the page that you're on. It makes more sense to do it across. It's, I don't know, whatever. Sometimes you just see it. It's the same exact thing as a bar graph, just it's going horizontal, right? So just draw a bar graph expanding to the right instead of up, right? And here, I think it's just a button we click in Minitab. Let's go back to Minitab, right? Just do the default, whatever. But the orientation, right? You just do that. All right, look at us. And of course, if you want to do a horizontal Pareto chart, well, you would have just left the ordering the way it was before. Right. So, and one of the main reasons we use Minitab is it's nice to use, but also the graphs look very nice. Okay. Lastly, there is a side by side bar graph, which contains multiple bar graphs of the same categories. Okay, so let's we can go ahead and skip this one and just say, well, we have certain Instagram data from Kim and Khloe Kardashian. Let me actually, I think I found this here. Let me just take a picture of that. This is this is stuff I encourage you to do if you've got some friends around, perhaps. But for us, let's just use this data. We've got this data right here, okay? So let's see if we can create a side-by-side bar graph where we've got a bar graph for this data, but then we also have a bar graph for, this data, right? But we want them both to show. We want to compare their Twitter and Instagram follows, both to each other and within, each person. How do Kim's Twitter and Instagram followers compare to each other, right? So for that, let's go back into Minitab. In fact, I'm going to sort of split screen this if that's okay. Let's create another worksheet. I just want to do statistics class is how I keep up with the Kardashians. Oh, Ortney. Sorry, Ortney. Again, Minitab sometimes online can be a little fussy with the way you enter things. So we'll say Twitter followers and Insta followers, okay? So it looks like Kim has 60.5, 27 points. Kendall's 27.7. 27.1, 27, 24.3. Then next up we have 127, 104, 127 again, 86.9, and 73.5. All right, so there we go. So once again, we're going to, let's see. We're going to make a side-by-side bar chart. So again, we're going to go to graph, bar chart, summarize data of a table. But this one we want to go to clustered or stacked. All right, and at this time, we're actually going to do two Y variables. We're going to select both of those guys. For the row labels, well, you can probably guess we're doing Kardashians. And I think we want to cluster them. Yeah, let's try doing this. I think that's what we do. Yeah, there you go. So the labels are a little bit long, I know. I probably should have just, like, Twitter and Insta. Maybe if I go back and rewrite the labels. By the way, I'm not calling it X because this was during the days when it was just called Twitter and X. So we just run this one more time super quick. Bar chart that we just do this just exactly the way it was before. Oh, wait, no. So let's delete these guys and then just see now. Maybe it'll look a little nicer. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit nicer. So just do that. Okay, so we have that. And again, I'll just include the data right there, that, and that. Okay, so there you go. There's your side-by-side bar chart. And I'm pretty sure there is a way to color them differently if you'd like. And then last but not least, this is certainly something you've heard of, but pie charts are ideal for illustrating the proportions of each category. If we do a pie chart of any of the data shown in these notes, let's stick with the basics here and maybe do reasons to go to the library. Nope, we want a nice circle here. There we go. Okay. So, let's see. We had about 2/5. Let's see, we had a quarter of it was for meeting someone. I remember that. So, let's just do that. That's meeting someone. 2/5, which is about 40%, and then 35%. This is basically even. We'll maybe do a little bit like... Whoop, we don't want to curve that. We want to do it a little bit more like this, maybe. I think that's about right. That might be a little disproportionate. I think it's pretty good. So this will be... Let's get out of shape mode. So we have study, and that was 25%. We have meet someone. Oh, no, sorry. I lied. Study was... 40%. No, sorry. Yeah, I got these wrong. Sorry. Meet someone. That was 25%. Study was 40%. And check out books was 35%. Yep, that's a pie chart. That's what we've got for today.